right, guys, welcome back to another video. Lots to talk about to kick off this week. It's going to be a big week, especially on the Xbox side of things, as we are expecting some big announcements here from Tokyo Game Show on September 26th. They've already kind of prepped everyone. Phil Spencer came on, told everybody to tune in as there will be some good announcements, and we've seen the Xbox Wire posts and everything. So lots to look forward to. We'll talk about that plus some other things. But if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to share the video, like it, subscribe if you're new, and check out my link to my Spotify in the description. So I think people are expecting this Tokyo Game Show to bring some games that were not on the Xbox platform previously, specifically Square Enix games, because of the console exclusivity deals with PlayStation that we now know have not paid off. They did not allow Square Enix to meet their expectations for their sales. Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7, and now Square Enix, regretting their decision, have decided they are going to be putting their games multi-platform. They're going to move away from console exclusivity because, as they know, and as the industry now knows, that they have to make sure more people play their games with the rising development costs. And it's not always the best idea to take the bags from these companies because it may not pay off in the long run. It looks like that's what's happening here with Square Enix and Final Fantasy, and people are expecting some big announcements at Tokyo Game Show. But we have some more updates here from Jez Corden and the Xbox 2 podcast. And he says, do not expect Final Fantasy 7 for Xbox at the Tokyo Game Show next week. And I'm not surprised about that. That was one of the games that I thought will be coming over to Xbox maybe later, but I don't think it's going to be coming right now. I feel like it'll come at the end of the entire trilogy, or a little bit further past a game like Final Fantasy 16, which, as we know, coming to PC or on PC, and the exclusivity deal has ended in terms of the timed exclusivity side of things. So what we can expect is some great stuff here. Final Fantasy 16 and then Final Fantasy 1 to 6 pixel remasters coming over to Xbox, and hopefully, he says here, both with Play Anywhere support. And it says the whole slate of Square Enix games will be coming to Xbox over time, but not every title will get announced in the Tokyo Game Showcase. Again, not surprising, but still two great things to happen here. I think the pixel remasters for a lot of people will be even more exciting here than Final Fantasy 16 if you're interested in playing that one. I'm interested in playing both. I have not played Final Fantasy 16 yet. I will end up playing it on Xbox or PC, and then the pixel remasters, everything I've seen about those, just definitely something to jump into, especially for just that nostalgia hit if you haven't played, or if you played those older Final Fantasy games. So I'm excited about that. Plus, that won't be the only Tokyo Game Show news that does come out from Xbox. I think it'll be a pretty interesting show from third-party stuff, Game Pass stuff. Lots to look forward to. I definitely will be watching it and talking about what Xbox does announce. Okay, let's talk Game Pass, because we've heard lots of reports on just how big Game Pass is. How much money does Xbox spend? How much do they believe in this service? And clearly it's everything to them. They believe this is going to be the service of the future and getting Xbox to be the leader in gaming. And apparently they spend $1 billion annually to get third-party games onto Game Pass, which is just a ton of money. And they have to be able to make that money back. And you think about the ABK acquisition of the $70 billion, all of this adds up to their strategy of getting as many people to play the games as possible, and kind of explains why they are going in the way that they are going. But this is a report here from Bloomberg, who was speaking with Sarah Bond just recently, and we got some more information here about Game Pass, and says Microsoft now spends $1 billion a year getting third-party games on the subscription service, and that there are flat fees of millions of dollars up front, but there's also just many different types of deals that Xbox does. Maybe we did hear from Phil Spencer previously, just kind of how every deal is different depending on the game and the where it is in development. Is it finished? Is it hasn't even started? All of that type of stuff really depends on how the type of Game Pass deal that they do make. And they do mention here that there's no one defined path for deals to be made with Game Pass releases. They're all over the place in terms of what they do, specifically saying in some cases, Microsoft will completely fund the development costs of a game, and the studio can go sell their game on rival stores like PlayStation and Steam or at retail, while Microsoft enjoys the benefit of having another Game Pass game. They say for them, they've protected themselves from any downside risk, and the game is going to get made, and they have all the retail upside. We have the opportunity for day and date, and that would be a flat fee payment for the developer. There's also straight cash deals for Game Pass, and then there's usage and monetization deals here, depending on how many sales there are through the game itself via Xbox Game Pass. So lots of different stuff going on here with how deals are made, but $1 billion spent annually to get third-party games. So if you're asking yourself, is the service going to continue to be good? Are they going to continue to try to get day and date games? The answer there is yes. If they're spending $1 billion, they have to be selective on the games that they try to get, and obviously put a lot of money on bigger games and less money on like the smaller indie titles and stuff. But the service will continue to grow and will continue to bring day one games and continue to be just awesome. I mean, you look between now and the end of the year, how big Game Pass is going to be with like Indiana Jones and Stalker 2. You have Ara History Untold dropping this month. Like there are so many games coming over day one between now and then. Microsoft Flight Simulator, like it's going to be huge, and that's going to continue to snowball and get bigger as more games do come out, as Activision Blizzard starts to release their games, as the back catalog stuff comes on. The service is, in my opinion, only on an upward trend for how good it is going to be becoming. All right, let's talk here about the 25th anniversary of Halo and Xbox. We've got the 20th anniversary things a few years ago, and that stuff was awesome. We had the controller and everything, and you had the Halo 20th anniversary stuff. So they are going to continue to with this, and they're going to start celebrating the 25th anniversary in a couple of years from now. I think 2026 is that year. And they say here, we're building plans for the 25th anniversary of Halo and Xbox. We have such a rich heritage and history, and these communities have been active for so long. You have to celebrate that. And it also mentions in this article from Windows Central that Xbox will have a next-gen traditional style console and a handheld, something we've been talking about here for a while. And it's not surprising. This is the speculation. They're going to have an at-home, very powerful console, which then brings into question the price point. Are they going to be pricing it at $700? And that'll be for the enthusiasts. And I guess really depends what's under the hood there, for if it's worth that $700, if it's something that's going to have longevity for 7-8 years and be able to reach the targets of 60 frames per second, which you would hope so. At 4K 60, maybe. I mean, that would be ideal for a lot of people, and that would be a good entry into the consoles for a $700 price tag. But as we've been seeing this generation, that was the promise, the 60 FPS and everything. And most of the games hit it. Most of the games have performance mode. So I'm not here saying that it has been terrible, but there has been a lot of misses as we're getting into the newer games coming out. And that may continue for the next couple of years. But overall, I think the generation has delivered on performance. Hopefully that doesn't fall off. And maybe going into next gen, they want to make sure there will be no questions about how long they can deliver on the promises that they set out at the beginning of the generation. So a couple of years from 2026, celebrating the 25th anniversary of Halo and Xbox. And you got to ask yourself, will this 25th anniversary be a celebration with the Series X, or will it be a celebration of launching the new generation of Xbox, launching a handheld or something to celebrate it and have like a special edition that you can get as well as just like the regular SKU? That will be something to keep in mind. And I wonder what they're going to be doing for Halo, because I don't think we're going to be seeing a new Halo by 2026, but obviously within Halo Infinite, they probably can do a lot of stuff. And maybe they will be announcing a smaller Halo game. I mean, there's just so many things that I would love to see come out of it, but I am excited to see what happens here with the 25th anniversary of Xbox. Okay, let's talk about the pretty huge number here. Steam. Steam is the dominant PC launcher, of course. And they have hit here a new all-time record of 38.3 million PC players online, which is pretty massive and always going to be very, very hard to ever compete here on the PC front with Steam. This comes via Tom Warren saying Steam just hit an all-time record of 38.3 million PC players online. PC gaming has been growing steadily in recent years, with Steam hitting an all-time peak of 32 million in January of 2023 and 37 million in August of 2024. The 38,367,277 players right now. That is the peak for Steam users. And I wonder if there has been an uptick in growth in the last few years as people are seeing how PC now, I think, is becoming a lot more accessible than it used to be. And now when you're starting to see something like the PlayStation 5 Pro at $700, I wonder if that is going to be something that pushes even more people to PC going forward into the next generation of consoles. And on top of that, on PC now, you are getting access to virtually everything. I mean, you have PlayStation games, you have Xbox games, you have PC games. Nintendo first party is the only thing that is missing, I guess, legally, if you wanted to play those games. So that is the one thing that people probably are thinking, okay, PC and Switch is the way to go when you get access to your PlayStation, Xbox, and then you have your Switch to access your Nintendo stuff. So maybe that's going to also help increase these numbers even more. And then again, going into next generation, if the $700 price tag is where we will see the launch of these big, powerful at-home consoles, will more people just say, hey, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait and save up another $500 or so, or just even more money, and continue to play my current Series X or PS5 until I have enough money to build a PC where I get access to everything, rather than dropping $700 right away on these next gen consoles. So that will be an interesting thing to track and see how this does help Steam and how this does help PC. But just an insane number here: 38.3 million PC players are online here via Steam, setting a brand new record. Okay, let's talk this, because this is one of the biggest stories going on right now in gaming, and will continue to develop, and that is Nintendo suing Palworld, because we know that that is a major thing, that Nintendo doing this, taking the steps to actually file this lawsuit. They're filing for a patent infringement. They're not doing copyright stuff, so it's not actually about the designs of the characters in Palworld. It's more about the mechanics of Palworld, and Nintendo generally wins. So you would have to think they have a case that they believe have a very good chance at winning, which would spell, I think, a lot of trouble here for Palworld and just the future of this game, depending on how much money they would have to pay out if they were to lose this case. So if you're a Palworld fan, you definitely want to keep your eyes on this. But when you do look at Palworld, the reality of the situation is, I think the game is completely different mechanically and everything. I think there's so many things in Palworld that make it different than Pokemon. Nintendo obviously sees that there are some mechanics that are very similar, and that's what they're suing about. But then you look at the designs of the pals themselves, and you probably surprising that they didn't go after them more so on the copyright of the designs, because I feel like there's a lot of very similar pals that you could look at and say, yeah, they took this directly from Pokemon. And it seems like that actually may be the case, even though Nintendo isn't suing them for that. But this comes via X here from this account here, Lutu, 62.6k followers, YouTuber and stuff. And says here, a former Palworld designer is alleging that the CEO would intentionally ask them to make pals to rank like popular Pokemon, then change designs after said designer refused to copy anyone and left the company. Holy shit, man, this sucks. They continue here. This is the rough translation to English. Obviously, it's not in English, so it may not be one-to-one, but this is what they are saying, or this is what this report is saying. It appears that a certain large company is suing a certain indie company. I was a former designer who provided designs to an independent company, but I support a certain large company. I don't care if I'm breaching contract, but more than that, I, as a former character designer involved on the project, can't forgive those guys. Firstly, the CEO said, I know Nintendo, so they can't sue me too soon. And secondly, an instruction I was given, please design a creature that would rank in the top 100 of Pokemon in terms of popularity. And then continues here and says, but I won't want to copy anyone, but you changed the creature I came up with into some sort of chimera design, so you don't care what you do as long as you own the rights. That's just terrible. How do you think I felt when I left the company and watched the new PV? Shock, pain, feeling of betrayal and anger. Says, I'm disappointed in those guys for so casually trampling on the feelings of designers who made an effort to avoid plagiarism. The creature I design has been called for plagiarism. That monster isn't some kind of artificial chimera. I've had to put up with slander against the designers. I really have. I've been holding back for a long time for the sake of my contract. Don't run away from this. So that's what they are alleging here, which is pretty crazy to think that they were intentionally trying to plagiarize Pokemon if all of this ends up true. What I think it is even more interesting about this is that Nintendo isn't even suing them for that. I mean, they're suing them for the mechanics of the game, what you're doing in the game, the throwing of your pals and the throwing of Pokemon, and then the fighting that they're doing within there. So this will be one that it continuously evolves, especially as it goes to court and they fight it out in there. I think this will have a major effect across the entire industry on what can and can't be done in video games if Nintendo has such a strong grasp on certain mechanics. So that will be interesting to see. Again, Nintendo doesn't really lose that much, and I wonder if they win this one, how big of an effect that will actually have on Palworld itself. But I'll end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.